Most of you know, who doesn't know about my Cuban background, my Cuban story? Who does not know? Anybody does not know about my Cuban story? Okay. Well, who knows about my appearing in the 1956 Journal of Neurosurgery? Who knows about that? You know the details of that? Okay. Well, just in case, you're getting a little piece of paper with that on it. I was, it was on the journal, which I have the whole journal. My mother saved everything, and I have pictures of the inside, the meningioma that was inside my left ear. For those of you that don't know, the reason I have a partial paralysis is because I was the youngest person to be discovered with a meningioma of this type in 1955, I think it was. Disappeared in 1956. Up to that point, a meningioma of the internal auditory meatus was, the youngest person was a 15-year-old girl. So this was kind of intriguing to the doctors at that time. My doctor was Dr. Garcia Bengochea, and I do remember meeting him when I was 15. We traveled to Miami to visit family, and on the way there, he was in Tampa. And we stopped to see him, and he was able to see some of the results. What happened with that, and when you get the little piece of paper, you'll see GAC, born September 24th, 1951. GAC stands for Gloria Reimherr Cabrera, which was my birth name. Now, of course, I'm Gloria A. Reimherr. Now, when my mother, and I was an only child, my mother was a dental surgeon, and my father was an attorney. My mother had probably more degrees just herself than my brother and I together. She was an avid student. She was a great student. She loved to study. She loved to learn. At that time in Cuba in 1955, I was, or 1954, she started seeing that I wasn't closing my eye totally, that sometimes I was speaking more to the side, and she started taking me to doctors. Well, what happened was these doctors went to school with my mother, and they knew that she was obsessive compulsive to the max. They knew that she was a perfectionist, and they knew that I was an only child, and they thought that she was exaggerating, and she wasn't. She finally got to Dr. Garcia Bengochea, who had not gone to school with her, who got interested in finding this type of meningioma in someone as young as I was at the time. I think I was 3. And so he did the test. And when he found the test, he did the surgery. Now that surgery was, I think, 85% chance that I would make it through the surgery, and the rest, you know. So she fought with the family, including my biological dad. They didn't want me to have the surgery. Well, she did it anyway. My mother was that type of a person. She was very stubborn and decisive. So she did that surgery, and when Dr. Garcia Bengochea saw the tumor was so big, he had to cut the nerve of the face and the nerve of, let's see, the facial nerve and the nerve of the facial nerve. And he pinned it so that he could go back 6 months later and do an osmosis, which had never been done at that time on a child that young. But he left it pinned so he could go back and do a what they call merging that nerve with the nerve of the face, of the tongue. And so when he did that 6 months later, that was a bigger fight, because nobody wanted me to go back through that surgery. But my mother insisted, because at the halfway point of the 6 months, when I came home from that first surgery, they took all the mirrors away from my level, because I was pretty monstrous. My face was like an old lady hanging on the side. I had no hair, and it was pretty drastic. And so one day, and of course I got spoiled, because everybody feels sorry for me. So I would cry over everything. I wanted everything. And of course, everybody feels sorry for me, so they gave me everything. So one day I threw a tantrum, which my mother never allowed. When things got, after that, she never allowed it. And I jumped on the bed, and I saw myself in the mirror, and I scared myself to death, they tell me. I don't remember that. And that's what made my mother say, you know, even if the operation doesn't help any, I've got to go through with it. Because if she lives and she doesn't improve any, when she gets to be a young lady, she's going to come to me and ask, why didn't you try something? So she went against everybody again, did that surgery, and the surgery didn't even show any progress at all till about a year later. And I would have to go to therapy just about every week. And I called it tickling therapy. But my mother was that type of a woman. Now, she's the one that instilled in me the desire to serve, the desire to give, the desire to go the extra mile. I got that from her. And I do have a small business that I tell folks when they meet me, how come you're going to be 70 years old and you're not even thinking of retirement? And I'm not. I don't think that anywhere in the Bible it says that we retire. We might go into something else. We might change what we do. We might have other passions. We might turn other passions into hobbies or into part-time businesses. But retiring in itself is not anything that the Lord, I believe, has for us. I don't condone anybody that wants to do it and wants to travel and wants to do. But for me, serving and giving and doing for others, and yes, I do have to make a little bit of a living because I have sons, 2 sons and 3 grandchildren, and my sons were from a previous marriage. I've been married a total of 50, going on 51 years, 24 and a half to one partner, my childhood sweetheart at the time. That was kind of damaged from the beginning, but I give thanks to the Lord that I have 2 beautiful sons and I have 3 fabulous grandchildren. And then the second marriage, I've been married 25 years to my current husband, who the Lord just kind of put in my life. So I don't know if you guys have any questions. I didn't want to talk a lot about the meeting because I don't believe I remember, maybe it's just my age, going into the details of that operation. I know I have mentioned it before, but I didn't go into the details. You got a little bit of the summary in that paper. And to me, it's kind of interesting because I feel that no matter how much I have drifted throughout my life from the Lord, I was telling my prayer partner coming over here this morning, I was really stressed because I have so much coming at me. The last week before I go to be with my brother, who's 7 years younger. He's from my stepdad. That really was my dad that raised me. My biological dad I saw the last time on July 26, 1961. He came in a taxi to say goodbye. He wrote me one letter, and I knew something was wrong after I didn't get any more letters. 6 months after I came to the States, and it's because he had been killed. But they didn't tell me. My mother was afraid to tell me. She was afraid to hurt my feelings over that, and my dad kind of did whatever. My stepdad that raised me did whatever my mother said he did. He thought he had married a Barbie doll, and that was his love. And she really had him mesmerized. She was a gorgeous lady, and very accomplished lady. After coming here in 1961, didn't know a word of English. She sacrificed herself for my brother and I because she would not allow us to speak English in the house. Would not allow it. And she hurt herself. But yet 2 years later, when she hardly knew any English, she decided to do a master's in public health. And she would go to class, take the class, and then come home and let my dad help her with the homework. But she had the scientific knowledge. So she graduated, I think it was Tulane University, in the top 10% of the class, not knowing enough English. She went on to do research on cancer with Dr. Threefoot. You can find her online, and she co-authored the book with him. He wrote it, but she did all the research. And that's when they found out that if cancer is in the lymphatic system, which my brother has, unfortunately, it will metastasize. And if they don't catch it in time, of course there's a lot of advances now, but at the time it was almost like an immediate death sentence because it's going to come back somewhere else. And usually it'll come back in the pancreas or in the brain or somewhere where it's just really not curable. But pray for my brother. His name is Manuel. I won't be here the next 2 weeks. I'll be with him. And pray for his wife who's a rebel without a cause, and her mother too, of knowing the Lord and surrendering their life to Christ. They know all about it, so it's hard. So pray that I will preach with my example, talk a lot with my brother, or when my sister-in-law is there, that I listen and hush. because I think that's what the Lord is telling me I need to do. She knows the plan of salvation. She knows what she needs to do. She knows that gaining the world and losing your soul doesn't matter. But help me to preach silently and not the way I'm doing now. So thank you very much. I think you guys are my family. I've been here since 2010. So right after Ian. I joined right after Ian, and Jerry and Doug, the founders, and I believe Roe was there, and I think, who was the other house cleaning team that was here at the time? I don't remember. But there was only, it was a little group. It was about 10 people. And Roe brought me in. So I thank you guys. I love you all. And any questions? I don't think I have much time.